hidden risks of using AI when you are launching a new product or business or coming up with designs? We started seeing something happen. Well, people started using AI, the last several years, and everybody uses it as it's a tool. It's nothing. I'm not here to say AI is evil. I am here to say be careful when you're using it to create things for you. Now, the part that I've talked about a lot more here and elsewhere is, whatever AI creates, nobody owns. It's all public domain. So if you are launching a line of toys or, stickers or books or something, make sure that it's not entirely made by AI, because if you do, then you can't actually claim the copyright in those designs or that writing or those pictures. The thing that is less obvious that we have started to see is people getting entrapped into infringing other people's intellectual property because they're using AI. So one example is you have a product, you go to ChatGPT and you say, I want to sell this kind of a product. Show me some designs and give me some brand names. What would be a good brand name? What would be a really good design? And ChatGPT comes back. And by the way, this is real. This has happened at least once, and I'm sure it's happened way more than once. So then it spits back some things and says, this is a good design for this kind of a product, and this is a good name. And then you use that name, you invest in branding, you invest in packaging, you put it on the product, you get some, do a bunch of promotion around the name, you start having sales, it starts going well, and then you get a cease and desist letter, because it turns out the reason ChatGPT thought that was a good design and a good name is because it's being used by another company, and ChatGPT has decided that was the top company or a top company, or that's how it evaluated that it was a good name and a good design. So, and at that point, you're out of luck. There's very likely trademarks registered. If there aren't, there's still common law trademarks, but they're probably at that point, if it's something that caught Chat's attention, is quite likely that there are registered trademarks, that it's a big enough company that they will actually take action, that they are protecting their designs. It also could be unfair competition or copyright infringement if Chat's suggestion for the design of your product is too similar to theirs. It could even be patent infringement, like a design patent. So be careful. Another area that I'm starting to worry about is people using AI to draft patent applications. So we've had a couple of people who've said, we'll come back to you guys for the conversion, but we're going to do the provisional ourselves. And I'm sure that there's also a lot of people that aren't coming to us at all or going to any attorney and are just doing their own patent drafting using AI. The problem with that is the same problem. So if you think about it, first of all, don't use AI to completely invent your product. Again, I think that hopefully goes without saying. You want to make sure that you insert that it's your idea. And but even if it's, let's say, assuming it's your idea, but then you want to do the patent application and have AI do that, there's a high likelihood that it's going to be pulling from other patent applications, other patents, which means you may be, I think there's a higher likelihood it's going to insert prior art into your draft. And when I say insert prior art into your draft, maybe that doesn't sound as scary to you as it does to me. You don't get a patent if your patent is just a bunch of cobbled together stuff that is in other patent applications that are published. You got nothing. And yes, you save some money on getting hiring a lawyer to do it. Unfortunately, if you find out that you've got nothing 3 years in, when the patent examiner is finally examining your patent application and doing a prior art search, and then they come back and they say, hey, this is like straight out of this, here's the 3 patents that this came from. then you are out of luck. And meanwhile, in that 3 years, you have been relying on patent pending, so very likely you're on sale, and that means you have now lost your ability to patent that product. If you have investors, that's a whole other can of worms. And that's the better of the risks. The other risk is that not only did it take prior art that stopped you from getting a patent, but it might have taken prior art from an in-force patent. It might have taken enough that it's encouraging you to infringe that patent, a patent that's actually in force. I think that's maybe a little bit less likely, but if you relied on it heavily to invent your product, like say, here's the problem I'm having, how could I get around this problem in a way that's patentable? It could come back and tell you, and it knows it's patentable because it's in a patent. So be really careful. Be really careful when you're using AI. I would encourage you to use it wisely, and recognize that it is not applying judgment. It is not always telling you the truth. It often hallucinates. It wants to please you, and its idea of what is good or successful is more likely to be what's out there, versus when you're dealing with a person whose job it is to help you create something new and stay away from the things that are out there, which is the approach that every patent lawyer is taking. So I hope that was helpful. Be careful, use AI wisely, and hope that. That's Catherine Cavella, IP Works Law.